Well, good morning. Good morning. I can't. So it's dark in here, so I'm looking out at all of you. So I can't see all of you, but I can certainly feel a great vibe. And I just want to say to my dear friend Beth Contos, thank you so much for that introduction. More importantly, thank you for your incredible leadership here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and special shout out to all of our AFT members right here in Massachusetts for the work you do day in and day out. Thank you, Beth and team. So my name's Maura Healey. I've been the Attorney General here for the last 7 years, and yes, I am running to be governor, and one of the things I announced this week is I want to be the education governor. And that is why I am so honored to receive the endorsement of the American Federation of Teachers, a union, an organization, a movement that represents so much, and that is no better reflected than in the leadership of your leader, Randi Weingarten. Randi, welcome to Boston. I read your president's remarks the other day, and once again was struck by just how right on she is about the message, about where this country is at, about what we need to do as we move forward. And she is a tremendous friend and a tremendous partner to all of us. Your comment, Randi, about the need to work on knitting the rich tapestry of our country together by rebuilding essential functions could not be more right. And I just want to say, as a matter of provincial pride here, I think there's no better way to rebuild and reclaim our future than right here in Boston, Massachusetts. So welcome. And I'll just expand on that for a minute, okay? So some of you know this, but we here in Massachusetts are proud that we are home to the first public school in the country, the first public library in the country. We are home to universal health care. And so many of you are working so hard and have throughout your careers in each of those efforts. So it is your visit here today that we particularly honor all of you and are so pleased that you chose to be here. I'll tell you else something about Boston. Not too far from here, we pride ourselves in being the birthplace of the Revolution. It's where this country was essentially founded. Now, I know the Commonwealth of Virginia and some other places may take issue with that, but I mention that because for whatever Justice Alito, and there's little justice in that, whatever Justice Alito had to say about our nation's traditions, we know something about our nation's traditions here in Massachusetts. It was John Adams that wrote the Constitution that became the precursor to the United States Constitution. So when I look at the Bruin decision on guns last week, and I look at the Dobbs decision on abortion, I find them to be personally offensive as a lawyer and somebody who believes and understands deeply what our Constitution is about, deeply what our freedoms are about, and deeply what we need to do collectively across this country to make sure we reclaim and rebuild and restore the promise of this country. And AFT members around this country, you are going to help do that. Sitting in the back, I was struck listening to the resolutions and the testimony and the stories, Beth, Edna, and others, the stories of such hardship and pain, the impact and the experiences this pandemic has had on all of you. I just want to offer my thanks for your incredible resilience, your strength. And in that, through all the devastation and heartache, we now have a lesson in resilience and hope, and let that be an affirmation to restore what we need to do in the time ahead. Certainly the pandemic exacerbated and exposed to the many disparities and injustices that have existed for so long. But we will use that experience as we go forward to rebuild and make a new future. Now, a little bit about how I come to this. I never grew up wanting to be a politician. I grew up just over the border in Seacoast, New Hampshire. I'm the oldest of 5. And I remember growing up, my mom, 2 things happened when I was 10 years old and my parents split up. My mom sold her wedding ring and used it to pave half a basketball court out behind our old farmhouse. And she sent us all out there to play. Later, I became a professional basketball player after playing in college, and I credit my mom for giving me that experience. As you can see, I'm obviously a point guard. That's all you can be at 5'4". But the thing that's relevant is that if you're a point guard, the whole name of the game is the assist. That's the statistic that you care about. And that's how I see governing, that's how I see partnership, and that's how I see movement building and true transformation. Also, point guards can't be afraid to drive the lane and take on bigger, more powerful interests. And I know that collectively, we are not afraid in this time or ever to do just that. The second thing my mom did, I remember, she went back to work. She trained as a nurse. Her mother was a nurse. I come from a long line of nurses. I was a sad disappointment because I was afraid of blood early on and I became a lawyer. But she put herself back to work, and I remember listening to her pull out of the gravel driveway as she'd go down the street early in the morning to take care of a patient, only to return to get us breakfast, get us off to school, and then she'd go to work as a school nurse. My mom is still school nursing to this day at age 79. Both my mom and my stepdad, who is head of our local teachers union in New Hampshire, are proud union members. That's the household that I grew up in. That's the vibe that I experienced. And that is why I am so committed to supporting the work of all of you. I tell you what we don't need. I know we're going to talk, and you're going to talk about the vision. You're going to talk about the vision for education and healthcare in this country. I'll tell you what we don't need. We don't need politicians who are going to weaponize and exploit fears and vulnerabilities. We don't need politicians who are going to ban books or demonize our LGBTQ kids or attack our immigrant communities or engage in campaigns fueled by misinformation, disinformation, all for their crass political gain. That's what we don't need. What we do need all across this country are people who support good wages, strong benefits, treating people with dignity and respect, truly showing their appreciation for the value of the incredible work that you do across so many realms with the kinds of support that you need. Your students, your patients, their families deserve to be supported in, you deserve to be invested in, and you deserve to experience all the joys that come with the profession that you have chosen to pursue. School budgets need to be funded. School buildings, updating our facilities, making sure that we have the best equipment in place, making sure that our schools have the resources they need so their students can grow and thrive, making sure that we address the teacher crisis and the healthcare crisis and the educator crisis that exist in this country. We understand so much was asked of you, too much was asked of you, and too many have left, and we understand that. But I'll tell you, education is foundational. Education is foundational, healthcare is foundational. And absent those two things, we cannot go forward and grow and have successful community and state and country. That's why these investments need to be made. I'll also say that I am a huge proponent of addressing all the things that so many of you, whether you're in a healthcare setting or a hospital or a school, are visited with every single day. All the things that did not get invested in out there: housing, food security, transportation, jobs, a criminal justice system that for far too long has engaged in the perpetuation of structural racism. You inherit all of that as people come through your doors. The community schools that are out there providing wonderful supports to families and communities, that's where it's at. We need to do more to support those services and to support those things so that you're not having to carry that burden as you've been carrying it all alone. The other thing I'll say is mental health. You know, I don't know a family that at some point isn't going to need access to mental health or behavioral health services. I was the attorney general that sued and went after the Sackler family in Purdue for devastating families and lives, communities all across the state. We brought back $500 million to Massachusetts that's just going to go to treatment and recovery. And it's forced me really to look at what's happening with behavioral health, anxiety, depression, suicidality among students and also our educators, only exacerbated during this time. We need to, as a country, invest in mental health resources, and I will be somebody who champions that. And finally, as I know I've run over the clock here, I do want to say something. It is about freedom and democracy. I want to give a special shout out to those of you who are working hard in states where you have governors and secretaries of state and school committees and attorneys general who are looking to take us backwards. Thank you for being in the fight. Thank you for doing everything you can to stand strong, and we are with you, and people across this country are with you. We are not going to let that happen. So as people test our institutions, as they try to corrode our norms, as they try to make our democracy even more fragile, I know that collectively together we stand. We know what freedom is about. We know what enlightenment is about. We know what democracy is about. We know what it is that truly makes this country great. And AFT, I will always stand with you. I hope you leave here fueled by the spirit of revolution, fueled by the spirit of the work that we can do, reflective and appreciating our history, all that we've accomplished. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to build forward. We've always been about hope. We've always been about getting things done. And there's no greater group to get out there and get after it. Thank you, all of you, and enjoy and have a wonderful rest of the day.